Have you ever felt that there are parts of yourself you suppress, that you hide from others and even from yourself? Have you wondered why you sometimes react disproportionately to certain situations or people? What you're experiencing, according to the brilliant Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, is the manifestation of your personal shadow. Welcome to this new video. If this is your first time here, I'm thrilled you're with us. And if you're already part of this community, thank you for coming back. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating and transformative concepts of analytical psychology, the Jungian shadow. The shadow, that hidden aspect of our psyche, contains everything we've repressed, denied, or rejected about ourselves. Those parts we deem unacceptable, shameful, or simply too painful to acknowledge. But here's the truth Jung uncovered. The more we ignore our shadow, the more power it has over us. Imagine this. You've spent your life running from a part of yourself, locking it away in the basement of your mind, thinking it would disappear. But instead of fading, it's been growing in the dark, feeding on your denial. And when you least expect it, that repressed part emerges, sabotaging your relationships, your goals, and your inner peace. Jung expressed it brilliantly when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is the essence of what we'll explore today: how to transform your shadow from an invisible enemy into a powerful ally for personal growth. What many don't understand is that the shadow isn't something to fear. In fact, it holds valuable resources that, once integrated, can free you from toxic patterns and deep-seated traumas. Jung firmly believed that the process of individuation, the journey to becoming whole and authentic, inevitably requires confronting and integrating our shadow. Today, I'll share 6 powerful ways to activate your shadow to heal deep traumas. These aren't superficial techniques. They're transformative paths grounded in decades of Jungian research and my own experience guiding people on this inner journey. Jung discovered that what irritates, angers, or disgusts us about others is often a reflection of our unrecognized shadow. Are there people who constantly provoke intense, disproportionate reactions in you? That's where your shadow work begins. Think of someone who triggers a strong emotional response. Maybe a coworker whose arrogance drives you up the wall, or a family member whose insecurity exasperates you. Jung taught us that these intense reactions are like arrows pointing directly to your shadow. The next time you feel that visceral urge to judge someone, pause and ask yourself, what is this person showing me about myself that I'm unwilling to see? This simple yet profound question can spark a revelation. Perhaps you'll realize that the arrogance you despise in others mirrors your own fear of insignificance, or that the insecurity that frustrates you resonates with your own fear of rejection. This recognition isn't easy. It demands brutal honesty with yourself, but it's the first step toward liberation. As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, and that understanding is the beginning of healing. Have you noticed that sometimes your emotional reactions seem completely out of proportion to the situation? This brings us to the second way to activate your shadow: identifying your emotional triggers. These triggers are like alarms signaling shadow content that's begging to be integrated. If someone makes a casual comment about your work and you feel overwhelming anger, or if a minor rejection devastates you, you're facing an emotional trigger tied to your shadow. Jung emphasized the importance of tracing these triggers to their roots. When an emotion feels exaggerated, it's because it's connected to a past trauma buried in your shadow. That comment about your work might have activated an old wound related to parental criticism. That minor rejection might have stirred the pain of significant abandonments in your past. Keep a journal of your emotional triggers. Note what happened, how you reacted, and then ask yourself, what earlier moment in my life does this remind me of? This exercise will help you map your shadow, identifying patterns that have been operating unconsciously for years. The third way to activate your shadow is through dream work, one of the most powerful tools in Jungian psychology. Jung believed that dreams are a direct bridge to the unconscious, the territory where the shadow resides. In your dreams, the shadow may appear as threatening figures, unsettling situations, or disturbing emotions. Far from being mere nighttime fantasies, These elements are coded messages from your psyche trying to communicate with you. Start recording your dreams as soon as you wake up, before your conscious mind distorts or forgets them. You don't need to be an expert in dream interpretation. What matters is paying attention to the emotions they evoke and any recurring patterns. If a specific situation, figure, or symbol appears repeatedly in your dreams, your psyche is trying to draw your attention to something important. Jung recommended the method of amplification for working with dreams. Take an element from the dream and explore it through free association. If you dream of a wolf, for example, ask yourself, what does a wolf mean to me? What qualities do I associate with wolves? How did I feel toward the wolf in the dream? This process can reveal shadow aspects seeking integration. You might discover that the wolf represents a natural aggression you've repressed or a capacity for self-defense you haven't allowed yourself to develop. The fourth way to activate your shadow is through creative expression. Jung was one of the first psychologists to recognize the immense therapeutic power of art as a way to access the unconscious. Painting, writing, dancing, music, or any form of artistic expression can become a channel for your shadow to emerge safely. When you create from a space of freedom, without judgment or expectations, you allow your shadow to manifest symbolically. Jung practiced what he called active imagination, a process where he let images and symbols arise spontaneously and then consciously engage with them. Before moving on, I want to mention that my book is now available, packed with tips and techniques to help you overcome emotional blocks and love yourself more. Find the link in the description and pinned comment. Now back to active imagination. This technique has become the foundation of many contemporary art therapies. Try this simple yet powerful exercise. Take a piece of paper and colored pencils, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what part of me needs to be seen right now? Then, without planning or judging, start drawing whatever emerges. It doesn't matter if the result is artistic. The process and what it reveals about your inner world are what count. You can also write from your shadow's voice. Take a notebook and start with the prompt, "What you don't dare to see about me is," and let the words flow without censorship. You might be surprised by the wisdom and power that emerge from the silenced part of you. The fifth way to activate your shadow is through conscious bodywork. Jung was a pioneer in recognizing that the body and psyche are not separate. They are aspects of the same reality. Traumas are not only stored in our minds, but also in our bodies. The body holds memories that the conscious mind has forgotten or repressed. Chronic tension, recurring pain, or unexplained physical reactions can be manifestations of shadow content seeking expression. Practices like yoga, body meditation, or free dance can help you access these bodily memories. By moving consciously and paying attention to the sensations that arise, you begin to dialogue with the somatic wisdom Jung deeply valued. A simple yet revealing exercise is the conscious body scan. Lie down in a quiet place, close your eyes and bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting with your feet and slowly moving up to your head. Observe without judgment any sensations, tensions, or emotions that emerge. If a particular area stands out, ask yourself, what is this part of my body trying to tell me? What emotion or memory does it hold? This dialogue with your body can reveal shadow aspects that have been affecting your physical well-being without your awareness. As Jung noted, the body is the visible ambassador of the invisible. The sixth and final way to activate your shadow is through working with archetypes. One of Jung's most revolutionary concepts. Archetypes are universal patterns present in the collective unconscious of humanity. The hero, the sage, the mother, the child, the trickster, among many others. Jung discovered that these archetypes also have their shadow aspects. The hero has its coward, the sage has its fool, the nurturing mother has its devouring mother. Working consciously with these opposites can reveal shadow aspects seeking integration. Identify which archetypes dominate your conscious personality. Do you see yourself as the perfect caregiver, the rational sage, the invincible hero? Once identified, ask yourself, what opposite aspect have I been denying? A powerful exercise is to dialogue with a shadow archetype. Imagine you can converse with the aspect opposite to your dominant identity. If you strongly identify as a rational person, imagine a dialogue with your emotional, irrational side. What would it say? What does it need from you? What qualities does it possess that could enrich your life if integrated? This archetypal work can free you from rigid identifications that limit your full potential. As Jung taught, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Now that you know these 6 ways to activate your shadow for healing traumas, it's important to understand that this isn't a one-and-done process. Shadow integration is a lifelong journey, a permanent aspect of the path toward individuation that Jung described. There's a dangerous myth in our culture that personal development should always be pleasant, comfortable, and positive. Jung showed us a deeper truth. True growth requires descending into our own darkness. It's not a journey for the faint-hearted, but its rewards are immeasurable. When you begin to integrate your shadow, you experience a sense of wholeness you may never have known. The energy once spent repressing parts of yourself is freed for creativity, authentic connection, and genuine joy. Self-destructive patterns lose their power, and relationships transform, becoming more honest and profound. Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts, you keep repeating the same painful patterns? Why do you attract the same toxic partners, face the same workplace conflicts, or fall into the same self-sabotaging habits? Jung had a clear answer. What we don't consciously integrate, we live as fate. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's a vital part of your psyche containing some of your most valuable resources. The anger you've repressed holds your ability to set healthy boundaries. The vulnerability you fear showing is the gateway to genuine connections. The selfishness you condemn hides your capacity for true self-care. Shadow work isn't about fixing yourself because you're broken. It's about reclaiming the parts of you you've abandoned along the way. As Jung put it, it's not about becoming perfect, but becoming whole. Here's the beautiful paradox Jung revealed. By embracing our imperfection, by accepting our most human and contradictory aspects, we truly begin to heal and flourish. Not in spite of our shadows, but because of them. Think of the people you most admire. Are they perfect or are they authentic? The authenticity we so value in others comes precisely from having done the work of integrating their shadow, of reconciling with all facets of their humanity. Shadow work also profoundly impacts how we perceive others. When you stop projecting your shadow, you begin to see people as they truly are, not as screens for your unconscious projections. This radically transforms your relationships, allowing connections based on truth, not illusions. Jung taught us that the deepest traumas occur when parts of ourselves are rejected, denied, or condemned, whether by others or by ourselves. True healing, therefore, doesn't come from trying to eliminate these parts, but from reintegrating them, giving them the space and voice they deserve. Remember those parts of yourself you judged as too intense, too sensitive, too strong, or too vulnerable. The parts you learned to hide to be accepted? It's time to invite them back, to recognize that they've always been essential aspects of your whole self. This work isn't easy. There will be resistance, both internal and external. Internally, you'll face shame, fear, and deeply ingrained limiting beliefs. Externally, you may encounter people who've grown accustomed to your fragmented self and feel threatened by your integration. But as Jung reminds us, there is no birth of consciousness without pain. On the other side of that pain lies a freedom you may not even be able to imagine right now. The process of activating your shadow to heal traumas is deeply personal and unique to each individual. There's no one-size-fits-all formula or linear path. Some find dream work to be their most powerful gateway. Others discover transformative revelations through artistic expression or bodywork. The key is to start where you are, with the tools that resonate with you. Jung emphasized the importance of patience in this process. Your shadow has taken a lifetime to form, so don't expect to integrate it in a day, a week, or even a year. This is a lifelong commitment to your growth and evolution, but every step counts. Every moment of awareness, every recognized projection, every honored emotion brings you closer to the integration Jung described as the goal of human life, becoming who you truly are. There's a dangerous myth in our society that promotes constant positivity, rejecting or suppressing negative emotions and experiences. Jung saw the destructiveness of this approach clearly. As he said, we cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Shadow work isn't about wallowing in negativity, but about expanding your capacity to embrace the full range of human experience. It's about building a more honest and compassionate relationship with yourself, recognizing that your darkest aspects and brightest qualities are part of an inseparable whole. When you begin to embrace your shadow, something magical happens in your relationships. You no longer seek impossible perfection in others or yourself. You find genuine compassion born from recognizing that we all carry light and shadow, that we all struggle, fail, and have the capacity to grow and transform. This compassion isn't a superior attitude of forgiving others for being human. It's a profound recognition of our shared humanity, of the vulnerabilities and strengths that unite us all. As Jung noted, knowing that your worst enemy is within you and that you are within your enemies is wisdom worth acquiring. Shadow work also has profound implications for our collective society. Jung warned that unrecognized individual shadows magnify at the collective level, manifesting as prejudice, discrimination, violence, and war. Every time we integrate our own shadow, we contribute, even in a small way, to the healing of humanity's collective unconscious. Have you noticed how some people seem to constantly attract situations that confirm their worst fears? The woman who fears abandonment and ends up in relationships where she's invariably abandoned. The man who fears failure and sabotages every opportunity for success. This is what Jung called synchronicity, the mysterious connection between our inner world and external events. When we begin working with our shadow, these synchronicities transform. Instead of attracting situations that reinforce our wounds, we start attracting experiences that support our integration and growth. People, books, opportunities that seem to arrive by chance exactly when we need them. This is one of the most mysterious and beautiful aspects of shadow work. As we change internally, the external world seems to reorganize to reflect that change. Not because we have magical power over reality, but because our perception expands to include possibilities we couldn't see before. As we conclude this exploration of the 6 ways to activate your shadow for healing traumas, I want to invite you to reflect. What parts of yourself have you been keeping in the shadow? What aspects of your nature have you judged as unacceptable, shameful, or dangerous? What qualities have you secretly admired in others without recognizing that they also live within you? The first step in shadow work is simply acknowledging that it exists and that it contains invaluable treasures waiting to be reclaimed. This recognition alone is an act of courage worthy of honor. The journey I've described today isn't for the faint-hearted. It requires courage, honesty, and a commitment to your own truth above comfort or conformity. But as Jung assured us, the rewards of this journey far outweigh its challenges. When you integrate your shadow, you no longer live divided against yourself. The energy once spent repressing parts of you is freed for creativity, joy, and authentic connection. Self-destructive patterns lose their power, relationships become deeper and more honest, and you discover an inner peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This is the gift Carl Jung left us, a map for the journey toward wholeness, toward the integration he called individuation, a path that leads not to impossible perfection, but to a fuller, wiser, and more compassionate humanity. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel that spark of recognition indicating that some truth has touched your soul, I invite you to take the next step. Share this video with someone you think could benefit from these teachings. Leave a comment sharing your own experience with the shadow or the idea that impacted you most from this message. And if you're not yet part of this community, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos where we'll continue exploring the depths of the human psyche and the paths to a more authentic and fulfilling life. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Millions of people around the world are awakening to the same realization Jung articulated nearly a century ago. Our greatest potential lies not in rejecting our shadows, but in embracing and integrating them. As Jung himself said, I have looked into many dark souls, but I have never seen one so desperate or so dark that it could not recover a little light. It is enough that someone cares, enough that someone remembers, enough that someone tends to it. Thank you for being here, for your courage in exploring these depths, and for being part of this community committed to authentic growth and transformation. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue this journey toward the wholeness we all deserve to experience. And remember, the darkness is not something to fear, but a portal to a more authentic and lasting light. As Jung taught us, it's only when we have the courage to face our shadow that we truly begin to shine.